2 a.m., the footsteps stopped outside the cell. 2:01 a.m., a guard gripped the keys. 2:02 a.m., Pakistan's former Prime Minister looked up. 2 years earlier, millions had cheered his name. Now a military government was preparing to hang him. Foreign leaders pleaded. Supporters flooded the streets. A plane sat waiting on the runway. Engines ready, door open. But General Zia had already given his answer. This is the last night of Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto. Inside the dim prison cell, darkness never fully settled. It lingered unfinished, clinging to the concrete walls. Light leaked through, only a little. A thin fracture of pale light slipped through the corridor bars, stretching across the floor before fading into shadow. It wasn't enough to brighten the room, just enough to reveal the outline of a man lying awake on a narrow prison cot. Motionless, silent, waiting. His eyes remained open. Sleep wouldn't come. The memories refused to leave. The future refused to wait. Minutes passed slowly, then slower still. The prison seemed different that night. Sharper, closer, every sound carried weight. Beyond the cell, distant footsteps echoed through the corridor. Then faded. A set of keys rattled somewhere in the night. A heavy stillness settled into the room. The darkness offered no escape. Neither did his thoughts. Moments surfaced when his words had once moved millions. They came like fragments, uninvited, one after another. Then slipped away just as quickly, dissolving into nothing. Only the cold walls remained. They stood close, unblinking, indifferent. Pressing into space, into the air, into the mind itself, until even thought felt contained. On the cot, Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto turned onto his side. The night continued, relentless, unbroken. Tomorrow lingered at the edge of every thought, unspoken, unavoidable. He knew what dawn was bringing. The prison knew it too. Outside, the night stretched over Pakistan. Inside, time moved differently. Each minute felt heavier than the last. It was coming for him. Bhutto knew exactly how he had arrived here. The story had begun nearly 2 years earlier. The government collapsed overnight. Before most citizens opened their eyes, General Zia-ul-Haq had taken control. He led a military coup. Troops moved through the streets. Power shifted without warning. Bhutto was removed from office. For 30 days, he remained in detention. The military promised elections within 90 days. The promise never came. When released, he returned to the people. The response was immediate. Cities swelled with supporters at every stop. Roads vanished beneath crowds. Train stations overflowed. What emerged was more than loyalty. Each appearance became a demonstration of strength. His return from detention had shaken the military. The crowds were too large, too fast, too loud. After his final rally in Multan, authorities cited safety concerns. He was arrested again. That same night. This time, they had a charge ready: murder. A guard's footsteps stopped at the cell door. Keys turned. Metal spoke first. Visitor meeting. The voice was flat. A pause followed. Then the order came again, quieter this time. Your daughter and your wife are here. The door stayed half open. Benazir and his wife were brought in. A short visit. No confirmed truth about what was coming. Only time passing between them. Heavy, unspoken. The charge was murder. But the case never stayed just a case. It became pressure. It became politics. It became a storm closing in from all sides. Bhutto denied everything. His allies called it revenge. dressed as law. Then martial law returned in Pakistan. Custody closed around him again. The case moved forward without slowing. The trial opened. Witnesses stepped forward, one by one. Their words are shaping a case already tightening in stillness. Confessions surfaced. Questions struck back immediately. Truth and doubt collided in the same room. Allegations of torture entered the record. Evidence was challenged, rebuilt, broken again. Bhutto protested. He called the court biased. He demanded a retrial. Denied. 5 months passed like a slow closing door. Then the verdict arrived. Death by hanging. A final attempt emerged beyond the courtroom. Exile. A last exit carved through diplomacy. A Libyan aircraft reportedly waited at Islamabad airport. Engines ready. The plan was simple. Leave the country. Live. For a brief stretch, hope held its shape. Then came the answer. No. General Zia rejected the proposal. The sentence would stand. The plane remained on the runway, unmoved, unused. Bhutto never boarded it. Evening settled over the cell with a heaviness that didn't need words. Prison officials arrived carrying a document he had been expecting, yet still not ready to receive. The execution warrant. It was read inside the cell, each line confirming what had already begun to close in for months. Appeals, pressure, negotiations, all of it now reduced to a single order with a fixed endpoint. Bhutto listened. Then he pushed back. He pointed out the legal requirement. The warrant should have been delivered 24 hours in advance. He insisted on seeing the original document, as if direct contact might still preserve some control over what followed. It was granted, but the outcome did not move. The date remained untouched. Moments later, paper and a pen were set down in front of him. Time no longer stretched forward in possibilities. It narrowed into hours already claimed. Outside, footsteps moved through the corridors. Inside, Bhutto began his final writing. Page after page filled with words he never sent. Then he stopped. One by one, the papers were gathered and set on fire. The flames swallowed everything he had written, until nothing remained but ash. Evening arrived, the prison darkened, and the weight of the night settled into the walls. A cup of coffee was placed in his hands. Warm, ordinary, almost fragile in that setting. He drank it in slow intervals, deliberate, even, as if every sip belonged to something larger than taste. The cup emptied without urgency. For a brief stretch of time, there was nothing else required of him, only the act of sitting through the hour as it unfolded. Bhutto summoned his jail attendant Abdur Rahman. His voice carried a calm edge, controlled but deliberate. Warm water. He asked for it. To be brought at midnight, for a shave he intended to complete before the hour turned further. A small request, placed inside a night already bending toward its end. Moments passed. The corridor light stayed unchanged. Footsteps faded, then returned with a basin and steam rising faintly above it. He prepared himself, not in haste, in sequence, as if each act still belonged to a structured world. Then his attention shifted. Army Colonel Rafiuddin stood nearby. A pause formed between them. Neither moved. Bhutto looked at him and broke it with words that carried both clarity and disbelief. Rafi, what is this drama being staged? The corridor stretched ahead, like a narrow passage into history. Guards surrounded the stretcher as it moved forward, their footsteps echoing against the prison walls. Each sound seemed louder than the last. At the cell door, a final question was placed before Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto. Would he walk to the gallows or be carried? The answer never came. Moments later, he was lifted onto a stretcher and taken through the dimly lit passageway. The gallows waited at the end, closer and closer, until there was nowhere left to go. On the scaffold, executioner Tara Masih stepped forward with the hood in his hands. In one slow motion, he lowered it over Bhutto's head, shutting out the prison walls, the guards, and the last visible traces of the world beyond. For a brief moment, everything seemed suspended. The guards held their positions. The air felt heavier, and time itself appeared reluctant to move. The executioner leaned in close, a brief whisper, meant for no one beyond that moment. Then the lever came down, a single metallic snap cut through the air, clean, abrupt, unforgiving. Bhutto dropped. The rope held. Minutes thickened. Nearly half an hour passed. The chamber held its shape. Even the sound seemed gone. A doctor stepped forward at last, examined what remained, and confirmed what had already settled beyond doubt. Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto was pronounced dead. Beyond the walls, the night carried on without disruption. Inside, a life that once stood at the center of power had already slipped beyond reach in a single drop that could not be taken back. General Zia died in a plane crash 9 years later. The cause was never officially determined. Bhutto's daughter became Prime Minister of Pakistan twice. She was assassinated in 2007. The 2024 Supreme Court found the original trial was unfair. 45 years later, the verdict was questioned. For Bhutto, it changed nothing.